Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New View podcast. My name is Mac.
And my name is Megan.
Come along with us as we dive into the world of competitive Irish dancing and beyond,
sharing perspectives, developing community, and learning from each other.
We hope you enjoy. So it's been a busy couple weeks in the world of Irish dancing. We ended up taking last week off because, as many of you probably know, last week was the CLRG World Championships. So it was a busy week for a lot of us, I think. And I think people are probably feeling a huge mix of different ways right now. That's a big week. And so there's probably a range of emotions and things that people are feeling right now. So, we thought it would be kind of a cool episode to chat about our own experiences a little bit. And then also last week, we put a message on our Instagram story just asking people to share their insights or major takeaways from the Worlds last year. And we thought that would be maybe a cool place to start our conversation today. So Megan, do you want to remind us of maybe some of the kind of top three that stood out to us?
Yeah. We got lots of great responses, and it was nice to hear both kind of like positive takeaways, things to learn and keep in mind. So I'm excited to talk about it, but I'll start with what's really prevalent, I think, for a lot of people, especially after any major like the World Championships. It can be disappointing whether or not you had the best day or you got a good result. And we got a great message saying that one of the most valuable things you can take away from an Irish dancing competition or your day at the Feis would be, you can do everything right on the day. You can have the perfect warm up and your best rounds ever. And unfortunately, Irish dance is just how it is. It doesn't always work out in your favor results wise. And that can be hard to deal with, I think.
Yeah, totally. It can absolutely be hard to deal with. And I think what I really liked about what this person was saying in their message is kind of, it had a really nice tone of sort of acceptance of that, is like, that's kind of just the nature of what it is that we do. And sometimes, you're going to have a great day and that's going to translate into the results. And sometimes you're going to have a great day and some other people had an even better day, or like just whatever it was, the stars didn't align in your favor. And I think, just as much as it is challenging, and like, I think we want to acknowledge that it's kind of a nice thing to just kind of be able to accept that for what it is a little bit and just kind of be like, okay, that is hard. And, tomorrow is always a new day, and it is kind of what it is a little bit.
And I think the approach to it is so interesting because I think we've all had moments where we can accept it and say, you know what, the win today was that everything went so well and I enjoyed myself and that's awesome. But sometimes, like we are competitive people in a competitive art here, and it can be disappointing when you want that result and you've done the work. But I think it kind of ebbs and flows as far as how you accept that in the moment. And I honestly don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. Everything serves its purpose in that, you can be disappointed that, like, dang, it didn't work out. Like, I had a great day, but then also shifting your focus to saying, you know what, but I'm super proud of how I danced and I love this like crazy thing that I do, even if it is really quite tough and doesn't always have that results-based kind of reward. It challenges you to find like new ways to win, really, which I think is cool.
And I think that's a topic that we kind of touched on previously, is like there's a lot of different ways to drive value, and like how you just put it, there's a lot of different ways to win on a dance day or within Irish dancing. And I think it's obviously nice when things go your way for results, but that's not the only way that you can have a win on a given dance day or whatever it might be.
What do you think then, like if you reflect on your World's experience, like what was a win for you, either in like the respect of an outcome or just like a nice takeaway or something you were proud of?
Thank you for asking me that. I mean, I definitely want to acknowledge, like, I'm super fortunate to be in a position where like I have won it before. And so I think when you have won it, you always are kind of going into it with that aim of wanting to win again. And I didn't. I came third, and I'm proud of that result. And I you know, feel really lucky to dance in a competition with such like talented other girls, and I can totally respect and you know, be happy for everyone. And at the same time, like I wanted it to go well for myself too, and
Of
I think
course,
that
yeah.
that's fair. But as far as like my wins for this year, I absolutely have to say that I prioritized enjoying my people and I enjoyed what I do. Like I love Irish dancing, and I think in the past I haven't always won in that sense of enjoying what I do and like
Yeah,
just
you
really,
lost sight of
yeah,
like
loving,
those
yeah,
really important things. And it's easy to do. It's really easy to
totally. Like
let them get lost.
on a dance day, I think I've absolutely done that at the Worlds, where it's just like you're just surviving it. And yeah, I was surviving it. I was nervous like everybody else, but I do think I really made some cool memories with the people I really care about in this thing. And I had some really, really cool moments on stage that I think were unique and that I'll never forget. So, yeah, that's how I think I felt about my quote unquote wins of the Worlds this year. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. What other cool takeaways did people message in for us?
Oh, we had some really, really good ones that I'm like super excited to talk about because they're right up my alley in terms of what I like in dancing. But
Yeah.
we had some great stuff. One dancer said that it's kind of interesting. You get to the end of the day and you realize like that your most enjoyable, like happiest moments were the shortest parts of your day. It was that minute and a half on stage or 2 minutes or
Mhm.
3 minutes,
Yeah.
however long it was. And you're like, oh wow, like maybe yes, I really enjoyed it, or maybe next time I can enjoy it more. Or just kind of reflecting on how it's a long, long, long day full of a lot of different
Yeah.
moments and emotions, but
And the shortest part is the
and the
actual
shortest part
dancing.
is the actual
Yeah.
dancing that feels that special, like magical way.
Yeah.
And it's, I would say, interesting at any competition to kind of have that experience, but especially if you're at the World Championships, because it's kind of like the, not the end to our year, but it's like it's a big deal, you know? So when it's
Yeah.
done, you're like, whoa, I've spent years like working on that and now it's just done. And
Yeah.
that was only like a couple minutes of my whole life. Like
Yeah.
that's interesting to just be like, oh, wow, like sit back with that and
Yeah.
just to consider.
Yeah. Did you feel like that? I so felt like that this year of just like, oh my gosh, it's over. Like
Mhm.
it just, and I kind of knew going into it that I was gonna feel that way, but at the same time, it feels like it's taking forever for the day to go by. You're
Mhm.
in my mind, I
It's a
found
long
myself,
day,
yeah,
yeah.
I found myself being like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna end. Like I'm just never gonna get these rounds over. And then all of a sudden I blinked and I was done my set. And it was
Yeah.
just, did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so. It's like the minutes are long, but all of a sudden the
Yeah.
hours are quite short and you've
Yeah.
reached the end of your day. And especially I think before like your first and second round, you're really like, oh, I have the whole day in front
Feels
of
like a
me. And
big
it feels
mountain.
really
Yeah.
daunting.
Yeah.
And, you know, you feel like you're in that line side stage. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm like, oh, it's been hours. Like I've been
Yeah.
standing here forever and it's been a few minutes.
Yeah.
But it's just,
Yeah.
it's really interesting to then think, oh, wow, like this whole thing that I've been working on and working for and doing all this
Yeah.
with it, like all this in mind for my couple of minutes. It's so odd that it just finished up so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that can make you feel both good and bad in that you're like, I don't know, you could approach it in a lot of different ways as far as saying, oh, this is only a couple minutes. Like I can really enjoy my couple minutes. Or you can, if you're someone who needs to kind of motivate yourself through it, be like, okay, I can survive 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
I can, yeah.
and I think we've all been there. Like,
Yeah.
I
There's
I
been moments for
definitely have
both.
been like, okay, I just have to get this round done because you're so nervous or worked up or whatever.
Mhm.
It's just interesting and kind of fun to hear that we all kind of have that
Yeah.
experience. That struck me as like, huh, I I felt like I was the only one thinking
Yeah.
like that. I love hearing that other people are having that experience.
Okay, and another thing I want to ask you if you have this is I've definitely had retrospect where I remember being at competitions where I know I was so nervous the whole day, and then I finished my last round or finish your set or whatever, and then I kind of say to myself, like, why was I so nervous? Like, that was actually not that bad. Like, that was kind of fun. And then I've definitely said to myself in those moments, like, okay, hey, remember this next time you're at a fesh and you're feeling like, oh, I just want this to be over. This is torture. This is so nerve-wracking. And remind yourself, oh, last time I did this, I got to the end of the day and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
and
I
it was actually fun.
survived.
Yeah. And I remember this year at the World's being side stage, trying so hard to remind myself that I've been through this before, and trying to tell myself, like,
It'll be okay.
It's gonna be over, and all of
be
a sudden you're gonna think,
yeah.
oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, I was really having a hard
It's
time
hard to kind of
convincing
pace
myself
yourself.
of that.
Me too. And just like, oh, like even the idea that, oh, I could do this, it could be done. It
Yeah.
seems like the most impossible task
Yeah.
until you're done, and then you're like,
Oh, like
I could make myself do another hornpipe. Like I could do that,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, hindsight is 2020,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just interesting that we all kind of have that experience. I would guess it's kind of universal, and I don't know. It's interesting to
It is interesting. Well, the whole concept of time. I mean, in general, but especially at a dance competition is a little whack.
I mean, because we're in our own world for a whole week, and then
in this weird bubble of
and all of a sudden it's done, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I gotta go do my homework, or
and then
I gotta like
keeps on life
get
and, like,
home or go to work, or it's just interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole nother interesting subject, is like, okay, now we're home from the world and like life is just kind of normal again. Like, there's probably been people who've just been back to dance class like normal, or you go back to school like normal, and
all of like your people who you coexist with have been having their traditional experience, and you just had what I would say is like a life-altering experience, whether you had a great result, a disappointing result, you danced at your first worlds, your last, like that's a profound experience. And then to go back and be like, whoa, I'm this like new changed person having had these great experiences. This is so interesting to then kind of like, this sounds extreme, but rejoin the
real world.
Having had either a good or a bad experience, you've learned a lot from your time at every competition. So there's something I think quite interesting and almost a little bit lonely about that, but also when we have conversations about it like this, you can find connection in the fact that maybe your friends at school or work like don't really know what you're talking about, but there are other people having exactly the same experiences, and just that is sometimes enough to be like, yeah, I'm okay, I can figure this out.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have just answered this, but I kind of want to ask it again. Do you actually feel, I think I feel this way, is like going the lead up to a world championships and then getting through a world championships, I do feel like I'm a bit of a different person before and after. Not that me, like Mac, is like completely different or something,
but you've lived a profound experience.
Yeah, I've definitely like gone through a little bit more of an evolution by going through that, whether it's like I explicitly like learned a lesson or took away some new information, or what
I would say that, I mean, I guess this is a bit of an argument that we can have, or you guys can present your points, but anytime you're willing to be brave and put yourself in that vulnerable position of being on stage and being judged and doing your thing, you're gonna come out of it a changed person. Whether it goes really great or really bad, you're gonna learn something about yourself and other people. And information is quite powerful. It has a big impact on who you are. And I think you can go from feeling one way about yourself, and then maybe you like proved yourself totally wrong and you were so strong and you had your best dance day and you're like, no, I'm like stronger, I'm a different person, I'm stronger than I thought I was, like I can do this. And there's also, I love the way you brought up, it's kind of that putting yourself in that
quote unquote like vulnerable place is, and
you're going to be changed no matter what.
And I think one of them for sure is you go in there and do it and you're like, whoa, I did more than I thought I could, or I'm stronger than I thought I was, or whatever. And I guess I'll speak for myself personally, but I've also been through world championships and big competitions where
and had the reverse.
It revealed to me areas of myself that I didn't know I needed to work on or that I wanted to work on. And I don't think that I necessarily would have come to those realizations without having.
It's a bit of a blessing in disguise in that
as much as it's uncomfortable and unpleasant.
A struggle, and we'd all always prefer to probably have the positive version of that, but to walk away from it, yes, a changed person with new insights in both a good and bad way, you can continue to grow and challenge yourself. So I think no matter if you danced at the Worlds or not, or at your next fesh, or any competition in general, or any opportunity you get to put yourself in that like vulnerable state, you're going to learn about yourself. And I think that that's pretty awesome.
I think that's like one of the universal beauties of Irish dancing. And I know we started this conversation talking about, it's kind of the nature of how it is. Sometimes it goes in your way and sometimes it doesn't. But that's one, I think, fundamentally great thing about Irish dancing that can translate to other areas of our life is that, embrace that like uncomfortable, unknown situation, because there's something unique about that it adds a lot of value to your life, whether you're learning, whether you're demonstrating to yourself you're stronger than you thought you were, or better at something than you thought you were, or more resourceful than you thought you were, or whatever it is, or that it points out to you areas that you want to be better at. And I think I just also want to highlight too, I've really only started to come to realize this in more recent years, but like, it's really, really cool to actually have those areas of yourself pointed out. And that's like a really cool, exciting thing. I think
what an opportunity to learn about yourself this way that most people don't get. There's quite a lot of reward in being brave should you choose to put yourself out there.
There's something really special about that. And it's like a cool thing to have happen to you, is to have those things pointed out to you. If your eyes are open to them, I think it's really
cool. I guess to tie it back to what we started talking about from our first listener's contribution, in those moments of saying, yep, this is the nature of Irish dance, like you win some, you lose some type of approach, that's great to have, and that's kind of how Irish dancing is. But the more we can help ourselves to see areas for growth and opportunity, and not to be overly positive and dismiss like the hardship of it, but to say, okay, how can I reassess? How can I keep going? Not just as a dancer, but as a person who's evolving and growing. How can I learn from what I just did? Should it have gone amazing, or should it have gone not so great? There's something to be learned. Every time, whether it's the Worlds or a fesh or even a dance class, there's something to be
learned. And then it kind of puts the power back in your court, because then you can choose to be always winning,
and you have ultimate control over this uncontrollable thing.
Because regardless of what the result is at the end of the day, like, you can take some value, like there is something beneficial to be taken from whatever the outcome was or whatever your experience was. I think that's cool.
Absolutely. So I want to also highlight, we got a really great response that I think will be good to end on a nice positive note. But as I'm sure many of our listeners also know, Irish dancing music is the best.
It is the best.
And nothing like a world championships to hear only the very best music all 7 days. And this listener wrote in and just said, like the atmosphere and the music and the incredible tunes that we did get and are lucky enough to have, that contributes so much to the performance and the feeling. And it's interesting. I think you can see it from both ways, in that, like, dang, I wish I had that all the time. I wish I could recreate that feeling more. But I also think it's really awesome to consider, hey, like, I'm so lucky that I get to have this rare experience, maybe a couple times a year, every other year, whatever it is. Being in that atmosphere is indescribable. And I think it's quite hard to replicate. You can't quite replicate it. I don't think it's possible, to be honest. It's this feeling of the culmination of the music, and I mean, you feel like the beat in your heart. And like the talent that's there and the passion for this thing. We're all
just being
doing
able
it
to
together,
be witness
and you feel it in the room, and the good tunes definitely help.
And like, just being able to witness some incredible performances dancing wise paired with some incredible moments of music. It just like gives you the chills, and I think I would love to have that year round, and I want that, but at the same time I think the fact that it only does sort of happen at these kind of certain moments throughout the year makes it kind of magic, because they are kind of like these scarce moments. It's almost special.
I would say, for me, at least as a dancer, it's kind of like a reward, I've made it through like the hard days in the studio, and now I get to like feel all that awesome kind of energy for a whole week long, and like be totally spoiled with all of that. And then it's awesome. You kind of walk away with, for me at least, a little bit of like a high. I'll be like taking a shower after competition day, and I can like
remember it.
I can like feel that energy, or like on the plane home or in the studio, I can remember like, oh, I'm doing this and I love this because of that feeling. Like that's really, really wonderful. So I don't know, I love talking about that. I could talk about that forever. And I think we will talk about it more as we have guests and things, and lots of passionate dancers and musicians out there. But
I think just one other idea that's sprung into my mind, kind of in the same vein, and I think it's maybe a nice note to sort of finish off on, is whether you were at the Worlds or not, maybe you were watching on Fesh TV, maybe just thinking about ways like, how are you inspired to like go forward into your life dancing wise, or different ways or whatever, from having been in that magic space,
or whether you just saw like some Instagram videos or whatever.
Just saw a snippet.
There's a lot we can learn. Even before my dance day, something that honestly really did help me was watching all of the younger dancers. And I know what it feels like to step on stage. We all feel nervous on a competition day. And it's scary to step up on there. But I kind of challenge myself to think like, these younger kids did it, and not only did they do it, they like really shined.
Did a great job.
Were so beautiful. And it just is wonderful to see like, wow, they can do it. Like, okay, that might mean I can do it too. Whether you were watching on Instagram and you saw someone recall for the first time or qualify for the first time or whatever it was, there's just a lot we can all learn, whether you've never been to the Worlds or you've won the Worlds.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I totally agree with that. I was fortunate enough to be there the whole week, pretty much. It was, I think a lot of the time we frame inspiration in terms of like younger dancers are inspired by older dancers, which for sure happens. But I think too, like older dancers can take so much inspiration from younger dancers as well. And I saw some incredible performances from all the age ranges, but like really incredible performances from younger dancers, and just in terms of how like there's just some really incredible kids coming up who handle themselves so well.
That's what I
manage
love the most,
challenges
to say
like really well. And
wow, they were quite brave. It is hard to get up on that stage at any age, let alone 10, 11 years old, like that. That's hard stuff. And to say like, wow, they did it, like maybe I can do it too.
It makes me excited for the future, that there's such cool, like strong, brave kids coming up. I think it's the world of Irish dancing will be in good hands for sure. Well, that was a really fun chat. I think we could
go on forever. We'll probably have to do maybe
another
a couple
debrief.
Worlds recaps for y'all, and we'd love to hear from you if you have more insights you want to share. We'd be happy to talk about them, or just share in the comments, or let us know, send us a message. We're excited to be back, and we have lots coming. So
stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of the New View podcast. We hope you enjoyed. If you have any ideas about future guests we should interview or want to connect, you can find us on Instagram at newview.collective or email us at newviewcollective.mm@gmail.com.